We're in the town of East Lansing, Michigan. It's just west of Detroit, I guess. Hey, how are you doing, East Lansing? Anyways, a freshman named John Dallas Egbert has just moved into his college dorm at Michigan State University. Now, he was born in Ohio and came from a pretty well-off family. John had been ready to go to college for a while because he was a little smarty pants. People would even go on to call him a prodigy. And to be fair, I think he was, because at the age of 12, he was fixing computers for the freaking army. Yes, the United States Army at 12. I don't even know how they found him. Isn't that illegal? That's like child labor or whatever. But when John got to college, he was ready to focus on computer science. So he's at college, and if you've gone to college, you know how it is. Kids are doing cake stands left and right. The beginning of college freedom from your parents is like, let's fucking rage, I don't even know if people go to classes. I think they do, and they just fall off. Everyone's having a good time, except there's one little problem. John is nowhere to be found. He's not at his dorm. He's not showing up for classes. Where could he be, right? So at some point, his parents are contacted and they show up on campus to search his room. And that's when they find a creepy little note. All it says is, quote, "If I go missing, cremate my body." Now, the police rule this as a suicide note, but the problem, there was no body. Where was John? So John's parents are worried sick. They have no idea what's going on. Was he abducted? Did he commit suicide? Kidnapped? Is there a ransom? Did he run away? There's so many questions running through their heads, and there's no answers. No parent is just gonna be like, well, okay, he's not here. Guess it's time to go home, So the family decides it's probably best if they hire a private investigator. So they come across this highly recommended PI named William Deere. After sitting down and interviewing him, they decide this is our guy. And they were right. William was well known for going in hard, leaving no stone unturned. And that's exactly what John's parents wanted, right? To find any answers as to what happened to their son. So where does this PI start? Well, William Deere's first stop was to check out John's childhood room, hoping to find any clues or any leads possible, right? Who is he? This John kid. And William Deere discovers something he believes is a clue. He comes across that demon board game. He's heard of that demon board game. It's called Dungeons and Dragons. This is in John's room. Oh, shit. Now, at this point, John's disappearance has been shared nationwide. So everyone was invested. This smart, promising young man from a good, wealthy family just disappeared. They run with this one detail, and it becomes the whole story. The media publishes headlines like, "Game cultists still missing." And then there's "Dungeons and Dragons cult may lead to missing boy." Oh, and another great, "Fantasy turned real life may have killed student." And a side note on this, no one had even confirmed if John was dead. Hey, it sold newspapers. Remember that episode we did on yellow journalism where it's like nobody really gave a rat's ass about the truth? It was just like, are you gonna sell me newspapers or not? That's this. They ran with it. People love Satan. Well, they don't love Satan, but if a story involves Satan, they want to read all about it. Anyway, the PI searches the college campus looking for any leads as to where John could be. He searches high, he searches low. He even goes into weird tunnels under the school where a lot of kids would hang out. And that's where he would come across some graffiti. Oh, shit. Not just any normal graffiti. This seemed to be satanic-looking symbols relating to the images he had seen from Dungeons and Dragons. Once again, this PI goes to his favorite people, the press, and he's like, "Hey guys, I found some questionable images," which further keep fanning the flames that Dungeons and Dragons was somehow to blame for John's disappearance. Anyway, somehow during this media frenzy, the press discovers that John had been struggling with his mental health and also was under stress about his sexual identity. With this in mind, the press decides to run with it. They put out there that they believe John was gay, essentially outing him. Not even essentially, they're straight up outing him just to sell papers. Now, this further cemented in some people's minds that being gay was also somehow satanic. Don't play Dungeons and Dragons, it might turn you gay. Eye roll. Later on, we find out that unfortunately, John did have demons of his own. He was struggling from depression, but not in the way that the press wanted to paint it. because to those vultures, this promising college student went missing because of his involvement with Satan. So months go by, nobody has answers. The PI is still looking for John, and finally, in Morgan City, Louisiana, John was found. Alive. What? Yes, alive. John tells the PI that he was in hiding. You know, like, he's like, why would I want to come forward when the media was like, making all these crazy stories about me or whatever, you know? Like, why would anyone want to come forward when the media was just going nuts? And the fact that they were also maybe outing him, putting out the narrative that he might be gay. The whole country knew his business, and that is everything John did not want. So the PI reassures John, like, don't worry, I won't tell anyone your secret. I won't tell anyone I found you. Bye. He tells his family anyway, and John thinks it would be best if he laid low for a while. So he does that for about a year. John was having a hard time coping with the pressure of bad press all around him and everything that was going on. Even though it was proven that everything that had happened with John had nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons and everything to do with his depression, it didn't matter. It finally reached a boiling point, and John decided to take his own life in 1980. What did we accomplish here? Do you guys feel good about yourself, press? Media? Do you feel good about yourself?